Hi, welcome back to FutureFast. And like every time, we have another special guest today with us. And before I introduce you to our guest, for those of you who are here for the first time, FutureFast is an effort to bring people who are doing things which are likely to have an impact on the future. And the whole idea is to understand how are they approaching with the changing times and situation, and possibly if we could get some pointers out of that, which we could use in our own business or life. So that's the whole idea of getting people to come here and have this conversation. And also, we will try to understand if they see what kind of a threat, if they perceive any, or a opportunity if they see in the future. And also, we'll try to get them to make some predictions if they are willing to put their neck on the block. So, having said that, I hope you're enjoying so far, and I hope you're as curious with this conversation that we are going to have with Philip. Uh, Philip Rixhon, I'll give a very brief introduction. He's a senior technology uh, professional who and an entrepreneur who's been uh, clearly been in the having ridden the Web 1.0, Web 2.0, and today he is in the Web 3.0. So many a times all these things sound just another jargon, Philip. So welcome to FutureFast. And what we'd like to understand your journey on this in this jargons of Web 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, from coming in the IT industry to today with the digital rights space.
Nanju, thank you very much for inviting me in this podcast, and I'm quite sure I will enjoy the experience. I'm what is simply called a system engineer. I was very privileged because I not only study engineering, but also business, philosophy, and even theater directing. And that is, for me, important because it gave me an interdisciplinary point of view about what I'm doing. If I go very briefly about what I did before the invention of the internet, I was very lucky to work in very, very large systems already as a very junior engineer. I was part of the team solving the problem of GPS. I was part of the team creating the war game for NATO. I was the one who had the chance, I don't know, to introduce personal computing at Procter & Gamble. So that was the beginning. From that beginning, where I was one member of a very, very large team, I started to develop ideas of my own. And one idea was to Yes.
Sorry. I think I need to stand corrected that your journey didn't start at Web 1.0. Rather, your journey started from Web 0. So please continue.
And so I was just coming to the point that I started to develop ideas, and one of my ideas was to interconnect very different type of computer and put them working together. Modestly, if you want, it's a type of internetworking and interconnection of computers. Putting, for example, cables between personal computers and mainframe, and then based on that success, putting cables between very different type of devices and type of computers, personal computers, scientific computer, commercial mainframes, etc. Where in the mid-80s, I then contributed to what is called computer integrated manufacturing, where in the German manufacturing industry, we were trying to compete with the Japanese, who were way in advance compared to the Europeans. So that was the reason why we were doing that. at that moment, I also got major interest in what was called and is still called artificial intelligence, developing expert system for configuration and for diagnostic. If we stay with the internet, at one moment I was working with AT&T, and with AT&T we make sure that online banking was secure, and that was one of my very first contribution to, let's call it Web 1.0. I did a few things about Web 2.0, which was dealing with e-commerce and interaction, typically in the Middle East between customers of the telcos and the telcos. And I recently, almost by accident, I think we'll come back to that, came on distributed ledger technologies and Web3. So if you want, that's a relatively long journey, exciting journey so far.
Well, surely it is. Philip, just curious, where are you from? I mean, you are from Europe. You know, incidentally, I've been listening to a very interesting book. I've moved to audiobooks for the last 2-3 years now. So my reading has come down. It's come down to 2-3 books in a year, and those are typically the books I don't find in Audible. So so this book is called The World of Yesterday by Stephen Zweig.
Yes.
So his
I read
memoirs of a European. All right.
Yes, so I read the book.
Oh, wonderful.
I was born in Belgium, and I'm still a Belgian citizen. After different steps, I came to live in London. I'm also a British citizen, and my family come roughly from that book that you read. Let's say Northwest Europe.
Right. So wonderful. Yeah, that book is giving me a very different Europe.
Yes.
Right, but it's just amazing. I've been so aggressively recommending that book to so many of my friends. So yes, so that's wonderful to know. But another coincidence is that I had another guest in my podcast called Bart Reams. Incidentally, he is also from Belgium. Right now, he lives in Singapore. He's an economist who works out of Singapore. He lives in Singapore. So it's a sheer coincidence that you both are from Belgium. But of course, he says he's a Dutch Belgian, Dutch speaking part of the Belgium.
Yes.
So,
okay, so
how did you get into blockchain? How did I mean, obviously you're a man of curiosity. So, but what triggered you to move into Web 3.2? And you moved in blockchain almost 5, 6, 7 years ago?
7. And the word curiosity is the right word. It's, of course, as many things in life, it was a complete accident. I was working with a major software company at the time, and they asked me to review, because I did understand ticketing, I still understand ticketing, and they asked me to review the work that one of the lab was doing using blockchain to solve ticket scalping and ticket touting. And I did not know anything about blockchain. Maybe I heard the word once. And so I said yes, because they wanted my ticketing expertise, not my blockchain expertise. So I listened to those gentlemen working on that project. We had, I think, 2 sessions, and I understood what they were doing. And I thought, wow, that's interesting. And you do it for quote unquote crime, but in reality, you could apply the same technology for the plain, normal main business of ticketing. And as you just said, I'm a curious person. So I Googled, as we say now, I Googled the word blockchain, and I discovered that in my big city of London, there was a UCL, University College London, just opening a center for blockchain technologies at that moment, which was May 2016. And I thought, oh, they must know everything. I don't know anything. So I knock at their door and I say, well, could you teach me? Could you even send me a PDF to start with, or invite me to a seminar?
Right.
And the boss said, well, Philippe, you are most welcome, but the condition is that you join us. And I said, what do you mean joining you? I don't know anything, so why should I join you? And they said, well, that's the point, is that here in this center at the moment, so it was 2016, we only have people dealing with finance, so fintech, DeFi. And we find intriguing that somebody like you coming from media and entertainment would be interested in blockchain. So I went, I learned a lot, I got some PDF, I was invited to seminars, but then I started to work with them.
Right. And what was the profile of these people who you met in 2016? What kind of people were they?
Mainly computer scientists,
Okay.
mainly finance people.
Okay.
And I remember very well an important moment for me was that I was at UCL following a seminar where the Bank of England was there, NASDAQ was there, etc. And people from NASDAQ explained what they were doing with nominal shares. And a nominal share in 2016 is nothing else than a digital file. And I understood that if they can do that and this with a digital file called nominal share, I could probably do the same with an MP3 and an MP4, because they are also digital files. And
Right.
that's how I started to look at what the finance people were doing and to transpose it to the music and the other creative sectors.
Well, Philip, just to share with you, last year sometime I went to a Web 3.0 event in Bangalore, and
Mm-hmm.
and it's mostly young people, right? It's full of young people, and I walk into one stall, and he looks at my gray hair, and he starts calling me uncle. Do you understand Web 3.0? So that's what I was curious about. Whether did you have an experience like that? So
Well,
they actually think that they are born with that. It is their domain, and so,
well, there is many things which come and go, right? So when you look at concepts like artificial intelligence, they are older than me, right? And even if you look at the very first IBM patent on distributed ledgers, if I remember well, it's 1981. So before blockchain, etc. So
correct.
people were looking at a distributed storage of data uh, almost 50 years ago. So we were born and we were young, and maybe maybe we got it through the air. I don't know. What I'm also convinced is that the color of your hair has very little to do about your mastership
Absolutely
of
true.
anything,
Correct.
and that goes, of course, in both directions. I was recently in a conference, an important conference about Web3 and metaverse, etc. And on stage came five gentlemen way younger than I am. When I say way younger, the youngest one of the five was 18 years old.
Wow.
And what was impressive about him was not his mastership about Web3 and metaverse, but it was how eloquent he was and articulate. And 18 years old, but he could have been a professor at university, running different PhD under him.
Right.
So personally, I'm very privileged. I'm working with people of many different ages, and it's not that important.
I agree. No, it's just that these people find it a little hard to find, and most of these people have never worked, right?
Mhm.
They've after school, after college, first thing they got down to doing, and this place I met, most of them were into game development and such, right?
Yes, yes.
So they thought it is not. domain for people with gray hair or no hair, right? So
Mhm.
they thought it's not for you. What are you doing here? I mean, they they didn't say that, but it was almost like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, coming back, was that that you got started with Ethereum? I mean, since you're in London, so was that the first introduction to blockchain for you from that respect? Was the team working on Ethereum? What were they working on, and what is it that you got into in
Uh,
interested in?
no, so the first team I joined was UCL, and my first interest is what can you do with blockchain? So maybe due to my gray hair, I'm not coding anything anymore. Uh, and my main interest is the benefit, the interest, and the combination of blockchain with other technologies to produce a new impact or new effect, if you want, on data management, right? So that's basically what it is. So when in end of 2016, beginning of 2017, when I went a bit seriously into the blockchain domain, it was what can you do with it? It was not how can you program it, and the distinction between blockchain and Ethereum, and even between in the world of Ethereum, the distinction between Ethereum and Polygon. No, I must admit that is not my domain. So my domain is what can you do with it? How can you combine it with other technologies to create benefit for users?
Perfect. And you obviously work on the use cases and looking at what kind of business problems that can be better addressed with blockchain. Though you one is that you're completely convinced that blockchain can do that, but on the technology side, you work with different technology teams from a point of choosing, like let's say, a, Ethereum or a Polygon or BVS, or who do you work with somebody else, or do you or how much of your business decision is attributed to picking a technology in this?
Well, that's the matter of trust. So in the main company I'm working with dealing with blockchain, which is called
Mm.
Digiciti, we have top technology people, and they are the one deciding if we developed on Ethereum. So we have made a prototype on Ethereum, on Polygon, or on multi-chain, etc. So I need to trust them, of course, and I do trust them. So they decide. And as they know me, I need to understand why they do something, right?
Right.
I cannot do what they are doing, but because sometimes I'm ultimately responsible, my main question for them is, well, why are you choosing this and not that? Then, of course, they have a plausible explanation, which increase my trust, but also allow me to take my responsibility. Is that I need to know why we do several different type of things. And I just named a few systems on which we have made development. But one of the things I'm preaching in the company and outside the company is that what we do must be portable and interoperable. So, for example, if somebody would try to tell me, well, Philippe, we need to go in this direction because we have so many benefits, which can be perfectly true. But then those benefits would be parochial, so it would be only available on one platform or one blockchain. Then I would warn them and say, hey, are you also guaranteeing interoperability and portability of what we are doing?
Perfect. So, what is it that you're doing now, Philippe? What, of course,
The
within the
main,
yeah.
yeah, my main interest is rights data. So the data that you need to facilitate the remuneration of people in the creative industry and to facilitate the collaboration. And when you deal with rights data, the question of transparency and the question of traceability are extremely important. So you need to be able to answer the simple question, who did what and who owns what accurately. And
Right.
that is the benefit of blockchain for the creative industries.
Right. And when you say creative industry, it's uh, everything, including art, music, uh, movies, or
Games,
gaming.
TV, film,
To,
uh,
oh, yeah. Okay.
photography, and also, let's face it, scientific uh, work and education.
Oh,
Right?
right.
So
Right.
those are domain producing a lot of sophisticated content
Right.
in education, multimedia content,
Mhm.
interactive content. And here we have, of course, fantastic challenges about
Correct.
the who did what, who owns what, etc.
Correct. And also the opportunity is so big in making uh, uh, facilitating monetization for a lot of these creators, which were otherwise earlier controlled by large enterprises or studios or such, or otherwise people were at the mercy of influencers. So now
Yeah.
this just opens up the whole world of opportunity. So in this context, how exactly are you? Are you building platforms? Are you working with uh, individual companies who are individual artists? How exactly? What exactly do you do in this business?
So where our company is at the moment is, I think, easy to define. 3 years ago, we developed a demonstrator of what we wanted to do with blockchain about rights data. 1 year ago, we developed a prototype. And now, having learned all of that, we are developing what I can call the minimum viable product. When I say we, it is on one side the company itself, but we are working on in consortium, so with partners, for the moment mainly in two consortium. One consortium is where we are 9 companies, and we are one of the 9. We are Our role is to track the rights of songwriters and lyricists, composers. Those songs are going to performers. Those performers perform in a record studio. There is a recording. That recording is taken into a film, and maybe the film will be clipped and used by you and me in UGC for whatever on Instagram. So we are a member of a consortium which help us to develop, of course, with our partners. We are also member of another consortium about traceability. And that consortium wants to prove or apply what is called here in Europe the European Blockchain Service Infrastructure. And we do that with 9 use cases. 4 use cases about tangible things like fish, batteries, cheese, and 5 use cases about intangible things. And we are responsible for one intangible things, which is rights data. So if you want, we have development standalone in our company, but we are also a member of consortium where we develop with partners.
So these consortiums, the two consortiums you mentioned, they are not for profit consortiums, or are they?
No, they are consortium, both of them are fostered by the European Commission. So the
Okay.
European Commission is opening calls, let's call them research and innovation calls or research and development calls. The European Commission is co-funding those calls, and many enterprises in Europe participate in that type of things in many different sectors. So the two consortium I mentioned were consortium where we were invited. So those were not our own initiatives, so we were invited to participate. We joined the consortium, we applied together, and in those 2 cases, we were
Right.
awarded the work.
Right. Wonderful. Philippe, in your uh, uh, technically you've been in technology space all your life, right? But of course, you've seen evolution of so many technologies. Even you've been part of the evolution of very blockchain, right? From the even 2016 to today, it is an
Yeah.
all new beast altogether. So, is there somebody who's been instrumental in the way you think, that interests you, that the way you approach to things, the technology or life? That somebody who's influenced you, or what would you attribute it to, reading of people, if you have to recall, think of, or talk
Well,
about?
I think that was very, very early in my case. And if you take who influenced me about who I am today as a professional person, one was surely one primary school teacher. That primary school teacher fostered in me analytics. And I was 11, 12 years old, and analytics was about mainly French grammar and French vocabulary. But it was analytics and storytelling. So that was that process at primary school. And you understand that in what I'm doing now, both analytics and storytelling, writing, speaking is extremely important. And the second one was surely a professor I had at university. And he was my professor of mining, because, by the way, I'm a mining engineer. And that gentleman, who was a genius, honed my skills of problem solving and interdisciplinary integration. So he was really an engineer as you rarely meet. And he was surely top problem solver and top integrator, interdisciplinary integrator. So those are probably four things. So analytics, storytelling, problem solving, integration, that I learned very young.
And I think in the course of your journey, you worked across different countries, traveled across the world,
Yes.
worked with such diverse people, and you've been a leader for almost 2 decades now, as a business leader, driving,
Uh,
taking significant decisions, and
all depends about what is a leader. And I will not venture in trying to find a decision. As I told you, I started as a young member of big teams. And
right.
then the moment when you become leader, or you are leader, I don't know. I was already a leader when I was a Boy Scout, right? So that was before even coding anything. And then sometimes, even today, I'm a leader, or I'm a joiner, or I'm a participant. I'm lucky that I can play all those different cards. I'm not a leader from Monday morning to Sunday night. In many things I'm doing professionally, I don't lead, I follow. So,
Well, I think that's the biggest hallmark of a leader, right? If you can follow
yeah,
well, you can lead well. So,
probably yes. I just joined what is now called World Metaverse Council. Definitely, I'm not leading.
right.
I joined them. I was invited to join them. I'm trying to do my task correctly, but this is surely not something that I'm leading.
Well, Philip, but with your experience of having dealt with such diverse people and work with people with different backgrounds and also different technologies, and some things some understand better, but they don't have the same understanding of business from an application standpoint. So the complexity of working with all these things and with your learning, if you were to advise to some of our listeners or audience, what would be 2 or 3 pointers that you could give? What should they keep their antennas up in when they work with these complex situations?
uh, The first thing is to be an excellent listener, because if you don't listen carefully, very carefully sometimes, to what the others are saying, you could miss the richness of what they say. And when you work in interdisciplinary international teams, listening becomes difficult, because most of us, we use English as a common language, but it is not my language, as you know, and it is not the language of many people I'm working with. So if we don't listen carefully, we miss everything. Then, so that is surely the first point, very active listening, so serious listening. The second one is respect, total respect, permanent. Even as sometimes I'm saying, I need to respect criminals, otherwise I will never understand how they can be criminals, right? So that's an extreme example. So if you don't enter a team or a situation with total respect of everybody, you will miss a lot of things. You cannot do anything. So that is surely the second thing. So listening, respect, and the third one probably is integrity. Probably is, well, say what you think and do what you say. And if you keep those three things, well, you will be yourself respected. You will bring this level of collaboration in the team, and it will function. And I should probably add one more thing, which is diversity. Normally, the more diverse the team across ages, across gender, across citizenship, the more exciting it will be, and probably the more productive it will be.
Fantastic. Philip, thank you so much. Do you want to, if you were to give some recommendations on books or podcasts or movies, anything, what would you recommend?
I don't know if I qualify to answer your question. Personally,
what are you reading right now? I mean, what is it that you keep busy with in terms of reading or blog, podcast, listening?
Let's start with this, and then I will conclude. Yes. So I'm reading two books for the moment in parallel. One is an English book, which is called Saturday, by a guy called Ian McEwan. And that book is a novel, and that novel speaks about a place I know perfectly well. And people even, I know it's a novel, but I know it's based on people, and I know the people. So that is one book, very well written, very interesting book. And the other book I'm reading is a Scottish book. And the Scottish book is called And the Land Lay Still by Robertson. And I'm reading the book because it helps me to understand Scotland, the Scottish people, why they want to become independent, etc. It's also a novel, but I'm reading that. Immediately you understand I'm not reading so-called business books or management books or technology books. The reason is that, of course, I read a lot of articles on my screen and PDFs, etc., about business and technology, but I would not read a book, because when I open a physical book, I need to go outside my profession. I need to be entertained.
Correct.
And what I would recommend, but that's completely personal, of course, is eclecticism, so diversity. So if in your entertainment, I mean, like reading books or watching movies, you also go here for diversity. First of all, you will be amazed by many things that you don't know about. And it's really exciting. And I think maybe on one side, you have wonderment, so you are amazed and you discover things, and it keeps your mind open to the world. Correct. So the last two movies I've seen, one was a very fast-paced American movie. The second one was an animated version of a very classic Japanese book. And so you see the extreme difference between the two movies. Those are movies, and I watched them with my wife, and we really enjoy them. And well, that's for me entertainment, and also maybe it's a bit of escapism, but positive escapism.
No, but I think that's what we are not a straight-jacketed people, right?
Yeah,
We are everything that we do, right? And also, I think all these books do give us so many perspectives, which otherwise we would probably just be machines. That's
yeah.
we need all these things to make us complete. So it's perfect. So you didn't name the books, or you did name the books. You didn't name the movies.
The American movie is called Molly's Game. It's a movie based on a very real story of a lady who was a ski champion in America and became extremely famous because she was running poker club. And the speed of
Interesting.
playing poker and the speed of skiing is probably very similar. Very fantastic movie, extraordinary directing by Aaron Sorkin. I think it was one of his first movies, and fantastic acting. And the Japanese movie is The Tale of the Princess Kaguya.
Mhm.
And that's an animated version of the famous book, very old book in the Japanese literature.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Just out of curiosity, have you uh, read any of the Indian authors or watched any of the Indian movies? I'm just, uh, I mean,
I
if you have not
watched.
done, it's okay. But I'm just
I
curious.
did watch Indian movie. Please don't ask me the title, but I remember I watched them. And interestingly, as we speak about that, I was very recently in conversation in a team, and there was an Indian gentleman, and we were speaking about the metaverse. And he said at one moment, well, Philippe and the others, of course, the metaverse is nothing new. It was predicted in the Indian literature. So I took note of that because I will, of course, go back to him and I will ask him, could you please tell me which book and where can I find it in English?
Okay. So, uh, all right. I don't think there was any. I'm not familiar. If you do find, if he did tell you which book, please do share because I'm really curious. I think Indian spiritual reference books refer to more of a multiverse concept, if you will, but not metaverse in the context of what we're talking about.
He
So,
might have referred to that because when we consider either in which I need to discover in the Indian literature or in the current technological development, metaverse, it is a continuum of reality, augmented reality, merged reality, multi-reality, virtual reality, etc. So I'm guessing, but that's only a guess, that he was referring to what you just spoke now,
right.
multiverse. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. There are very popular stories as in this world is created by Brahman. Brahma is like
Yeah.
equivalent to God. So, and there are multiple Brahmas with their own
Yeah.
multiple universes that
Yeah.
which are parallelly existing. So technically, we are in one universe, which is created by this Brahma, which has a definite period. It has got a
Mm-hmm.
lifespan, and likewise there are multiple. It's okay. So interesting. It's possible that he was referring to it in that
Yeah.
context.
I will ask him.
All
and
right,
I will
sure,
let you know his answer.
sure. That would be really nice. And
Yes.
thank you so much, Philip. And those of you, uh, you just gotta feel for uh, the journey that Philip has gone through, and which is always, I mean, it's like very difficult to put it in such a small capsule, but uh, I guess without having jumped into any of it or trying to dissect it, but we're trying to get understanding of how we think from a point of going forward, what we are about to talk from about the perspective of his perspective on future and also on this business. So for that, please come back, watch it, and if you liked it, do share it across and enjoy the ride. Philip, thank you so much,
Thank you,
and
Nanju.
we'll reach you back again for the next conversation that we are going to have.
Yeah, thank you.